the reason time it was taking them to process logs from 8 hours to maybe an hour almost. And they had regulations in the European market about classifying some products based on what type of chemicals they have, and they wanted to do that in a certain time. So I was able to achieve that by doing a lot of aggregations, building systems which can process data, which are scalable and can process data quickly, so they can meet those SLAs. And then I optimized the classification process to identify which products contain hazardous goods. And this process was classifying 20,000 more per day. I'm actually reading this out from the resume.
Yeah, you already mentioned you already mentioned Amazon and Opportun,
Yeah.
I think, and then it says the National Bank. Well,
Yeah, that's the other one I'm working on. And yes, for that, like it says on my resume, I did optimize their. They had this job to analyze stock data. I was all in sequence using pandas. I optimized that using Spark for distributed processing. And then I'm building something called a model factory to enable rapid modeled hosting and deployment, and that's under work right now. It's being worked on.
Let's see. Okay, and so can you think of any other accomplishment related to this experience? I think I have a lot of great stuff regarding this experience.
I think that should be it.
Okay, so your next role is at AT&T, and by the way, can you briefly mention what you want different from your previous version of the resume? Because I had your old resume and I thought that you want to update jobs.
Okay, you cut out again. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said that. Can you briefly mention what you want different from your previous resume?
Design-wise?
Design-wise or content-wise?
So I like the way you guys did my previous resume. I think at this point, if there's since that's about 3 years old, or actually more than that, right? It's 4 years old now. So I don't know during this period if there's something you guys tried which seems to be working more, or a different format, a different way to present content. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, great.
If I could reduce it, because right now I have it for 3 pages, right? Is there a way I can cut it down? Can I do something else to showcase more and take less space?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, got it. So you basically want to update the content because it's 4 years old, and I also see that this format is a little bit less ATS optimized. And apart from that, yeah, we can definitely make a resume within 2 pages.
Oh, cool, awesome. And most of our so for AT&T and US Bank, my content US Bank, I'm not going to change anything, because I had the same discussion with somebody else last 3 or 4 weeks ago. If you can just shorten it out, and then for AT&T, I think I have pretty much everything documented in my resume right now.
Oh, so you want the same content that you had before?
Yeah, but if you can word it in a different way and make it shorter.
Yeah, that would be necessary, I think, because right now I see that it's really detailed. So I would like to kind of summarize it. So that would be great.
Yeah, because I'm trying to go for director and lead architect roles, so I'm not sure in what way to present it. Right, I don't want this to come off as a developer role.
Yeah, okay. I'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Because right now it's tech heavy, right? It's I want it to be solution heavy, or kind of from a leadership point of view somehow.
I see. Okay, got it. So, so would it be okay if we discuss the previous roles as well, for clarity and to
Yeah,
summarize all the content?
yeah,
Okay.
sure, definitely.
So can you talk about your duties at AT&T?
Yeah, at the AT&T, I was the lead big data engineer. Um, I led a team, I managed a team of data scientists, of data engineers mostly. Um, I led their big data architecture, engineering, and automation. So I was part of a business unit within AT&T called AT&T Foundry, and I did work for um, internal AT&T internal clients, internal business units. My role was to talk to business units, different business units, technical leaders to set up big data standards, processes, etc., and build big data pipelines, tools, APIs to work with data scientists, so the data science team to optimize the models, to rewrite them, scale them, deploy and automate all of those. Um, product-wise, I worked on a few different projects. The first one was called the strategic pricing support. This was basically to come up with a pricing model which which can then be utilized by AT&T to offer better pricing to get more projects to beat their competitors. The model was very outdated. It was 20 years old. Um, so basically, in that project, me and my team had to reverse engineer the old application, see what they were doing, and make it modernized by extracting data from it, adding more data, um, to get pricing data from different vendors, and to come up with models to predict or to determine optimal pricing. Doing this, I think after this was deployed, the projected benefit to the company was about 30 million per year. Um, the next project was called the Document Intelligence Solution. Um, so, so basically, AT&T has millions of documents which were hand signed by businesses and their clients when things were not totally digital, right? Even today, a lot of people prefer paper contracts, and they had a lot of information in it, like a lot of addendums that were made by hand. Their pricing schedules and um, their prices and etc. were all on paper. These were not stored anywhere. So the challenge was to extract these documents, which were now in PDF formats or images, which were hand scanned by people, and then they were not in the proper format. So we had to use computer vision to process these images to extract the attributes we're looking for, um, and then to make them searchable. And so the process I built was able to extract data from 3 million PDFs. Um, uh, and this was all done within a day at a rate of 10,000 pages per hour. And then um, the extract data was put into a search engine, which was searchable. So anybody who wanted to look up a customer was able to look it up instead of having to go through read a document. So that was the second project. The third one was called the Business Solutions Customer 360. This was a project to get the business marketing team get a view of their customers, to know everything about who they are trying to talk to, right? What service they have, how many services they had, how many products do they have, where do they live, who are their friends, everything about them. And so I built a data model by aggregating data from tons of different places, and a lot of it was legacy. So I rewrote a lot of these things from SQL to things like Python using Spark, and built visualization. So salesmen and sales managers can look at a customer, see everything about him, um, and also built an automation framework to automate models. That's it.
I see. Okay. So these were all the products that you worked on. And can you talk about some of the internal process improvements that you may have led at this company?
Yes, internal process improvements at AT&T. Um, yeah, I built. So I manage a team, and I built a development process as to as to how what parts of a product goes to engineers versus data scientists, how the product should be structured, the different phases of the project, how do we start working on it, how do we estimate it, who works on it first, how do we um, enable separation of duties, and then how do we deploy the work in the end. So that was one process I worked on, and the second one is coding practices, best practices, because a lot of these things were new, and we had a lot of new hires, so training them, coming up with their uh, training catalog, coming up with courses, which was then used by the whole company.
Okay, and speaking of new hires, can you talk about your role with respect to team leadership and development?
Yes, so I was in a very similar situation with AT&T. I was in a brand new team. I was actually not the first one, but the second employee. Actually, the third employee, and the first two were leaving, and